1970s R&B was a wild mix of velvet vocals, tight grooves, and artists who flashed like comets bright, unforgettable, and gone before we even knew what happened. These are 15 one-hit wonders from the 70s who rose fast, burned bright, and vanished without a trace. Number 15, Be Thankful for What You Got by William DeVos.
Though you may not drive.
Rolling into our countdown is the smooth, sun-soaked standout from 1974, a track that felt like cruising through Philly on a warm evening with the windows down. William DeVos recorded this one while still working a regular day job, dropping into Sigma Sound Studios with a batch of hopeful lyrics and a dream he wasn't sure would go anywhere.
Cadillac, diamond in the back, sunroof top, digging the scene.
Then that gentle guitar line settled in, the rhythm section locked tight, and his soft-spoken vocal drifted out like advice from a wise older brother. What most fans never knew was that the studio musicians on this record included members who would later anchor the sound of the Philly soul movement.
You can still stand tall.
DeVos wasn't even planning to be a career singer, and when the song soared to number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100, he seemed almost surprised by his own success. For anyone hearing it back then, you could practically feel the ride white-walled tires, a polished hood, and a quiet reminder to stay grounded.
You may not have.
Though DeVos released a few follow-up tracks, none found the magic of this one. Still, the song lives on in samples, late-night playlists, and every moment where gratitude needs a soundtrack. If that warm, reflective groove sets the tone, the next track brings a whole different kind of surprise. Number 14, Why Can't We Live Together by Timmy Thomas.
Tell me why can't we live together?
Sliding into the next spot is a 1972 minimalist masterpiece that hit like a whispered prayer during a turbulent time. Timmy Thomas walked into the studio with nothing but a drum machine, an organ, and a world heavy on his mind.
And we all live together.
While most R&B of the era leaned on lush arrangements and stacked harmonies, Thomas stripped it all down to raw emotion. The result was a haunting pulse that felt like a heartbeat echoing across late-night airwaves. What many listeners didn't know was how unusual this setup was. No band, no brass section, no polished backing vocals.
Everybody wants to live together. Why can't we live together?
Just Thomas, alone, creating a sound that felt both urgent and intimate. The simplicity stunned radio programmers, but when the song hit, it spread fast, eventually reaching number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. It became an anthem of hope and unity, played in quiet rooms, crowded diners, and living rooms where families gathered around the record player. But after the hit, Thomas never again reached that level of mainstream spotlight. He continued making music and performing, but this moment remained his defining stamp on the world. Still, its influence echoed for decades, from global humanitarian events to later artists sampling its hypnotic rhythm. If this track carried a message of longing, the next entry takes us straight to heartbreak on the dance floor. Number 13, Float On by The Floaters.
Aquarius, and my name is Red.
Now, here's one that drifts right into 1970s like a disco slow breeze. The Floaters were a Detroit vocal group with a concept so unusual, it became unforgettable. Each member introducing himself with his zodiac sign over a smooth, dreamy groove. When it first hit the airwaves, it felt like a late-night conversation with someone leaning in just a little too close. Recorded for ABC Records, this track blended soul, quiet storm vibes, and just enough theatrical flair to make it stand out in the flood of late 70s releases. The unexpected charm was part of its magic.
Number
spoken word intros, the shimmering keys, the soft glide of the beat. Fans either smiled, swooned, or both. And despite some critics raising eyebrows, the record shot to #2 on the Billboard R&B chart and #1 in the UK. Behind the scenes though, the group struggled with label changes and shifting tastes as disco began to dominate. Their follow-up work never captured the same spark. But the legacy? Weddings, roller rinks, midnight dedications on Quiet Storm radio. To this day, you can hear someone jokingly quote their zodiac sign and know exactly where it came from. If this one floated by with charm, the next track hits with pure street corner soul. Number 12, Kung Fu Fighting by Carl Douglas. Bursting into 1974 with a kick, a grin, and a groove you couldn't shake loose, Carl Douglas delivered a track that seemed like it was destined to be a novelty. But the moment that iconic "huh" sliced through the speakers, listeners were hooked.
This is all you do now, you just dance the kung fu.
Douglas recorded this tune almost by accident. It was originally meant to be a B-side, rushed through the studio in just 2 quick takes. Yet, something about the playful lyrics, the disco-tinged rhythm, and the feel-good swagger made it explode. What most people didn't realize is that Douglas had been grinding for years, releasing singles that barely made a ripple.
Every step is poetry in motion.
Then suddenly, he had a global phenomenon on his hands. The song shot to #1 in multiple countries, turning dance floors into imaginary martial arts showdowns. Kids practiced kicks in living rooms, clubs erupted with every spin, and radio stations couldn't get enough. Still, after this tidal wave, Douglas found it impossible to repeat the magic.
Listen to me, people, don't get uptight. This is all you do.
His follow-ups landed softly, and he slipped back into the shadows of pop history. Yet, the legacy of this song is undeniably sampled, remixed, parodied, celebrated. A pure bolt of joyful energy from an artist who burned bright for one unforgettable moment. If this one brought the party, the next entry slides back into a deep and bluesy sigh. Number 11, I Love the Nightlife by Alicia Bridges.
Please don't talk about all the plans we had.
Stepping into 1978 with sequins, neon, and a voice that cut through any crowd, Alicia Bridges gave us a disco soul anthem that refuses to fade. Recorded for Polydor Records, the song mixed R&B roots with a propulsive dance floor ready pulse that felt tailor-made for the era's glittering nightlife.
Dance, I want some action. I wanna live.
Bridges, with her smoky vocal tone and rock-influenced edge, brought an unexpected punch to the disco scene. Behind the scenes, she co-wrote the track herself, unusual for many disco artists of the time, and fought to blend soul sensibility with the high-gloss energy the genre demanded.
I've got to boogie on the disco ride.
When the song hit, it became an instant club favorite, racing up the charts and earning a Grammy nomination. You could feel the excitement of the late 70s disco boom every time that opening riff hit. Mirror balls spinning, platforms stomping, sweat and joy filling the room. But as the disco backlash swept in, Bridges found herself caught in the shift. Her later work never again reached mainstream heights. Still, the song remains a staple in retro sets, film soundtracks, and any playlist designed to bring people to their feet. If this track had you out under the mirror ball, the next one brings us back to smooth romantic harmony. Number 10, Kiss and Say Goodbye by the Manhattans, drifting into 1906.
I had to meet you here today.
With velvet smooth harmonies and heartbreak wrapped in elegance, the Manhattans delivered one of the decade's most unforgettable slow jams. While the group had a long career, this massive hit was their one true crossover moment onto the global stage.
Meeting here so long.
Recorded for Columbia Records, the track captured the bittersweet ache of a relationship ending with dignity instead of drama. Gerald Alston's warm lead vocal floated over a soft orchestral arrangement, the kind of sound that instantly transported listeners to dimly lit living rooms and late-night radio confessionals. The story behind it is just as emotional. Songwriter Winfred Lovett crafted the lyrics during an especially tough time in his own life, pouring every ounce of vulnerability into the words.
I'm gonna miss you. I'm gonna miss you.
When the group laid down the track, the producers kept the instrumentation gentle, letting the voices carry the weight. The song soared to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became a signature moment not only for the group, but for 70s soul itself. Though the Manhattans continued recording and performing, nothing ever matched the seismic impact of this single.
Send me, won't you try?
Today, it remains a timeless goodbye anthem, played at weddings, breakups, anniversaries, and quiet nights when memories linger. If this one tugged at the heartstrings, the next entry hits with a soulful fire. Number 9, Ring My Bell by Anita Ward. Sliding into 1979 with a burst of shimmering energy, Anita Ward delivered a one-hit wonder so catchy it practically sparkled out of every speaker it touched. Originally written as a teen pop song, it was reworked at the last minute into a disco R&B groove, and that change turned out to be magic. Ward stepped into the studio as a former school teacher with dreams of a singing career, but even she didn't expect the whirlwind that was coming. During recording, Ward struggled with the high vocal register the producers wanted, but her bright, bell-like tone ended up becoming the song's signature. When it was released by Warner Records, the timing couldn't have been better. Disco was peaking, the summer heat was rising, and dance floors were begging for something irresistible. The song rocketed to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, blasting across clubs, roller rinks, and radio stations around the world. But when disco fizzled almost overnight, Ward's label support dissolved with it. Her follow-up singles barely charted, and she slipped out of the spotlight. Still, Ring My Bell remains a feel-good time capsule of late 70s joy, a song that can still get anyone moving. If this one lit up the dance floor, the next track brings us into a tender, morning soft groove. Number 8, Lovin' You by Minnie Riperton.
It's easy 'cause you're beautiful.
Floating into 1975 like a warm sunrise, Lovin' You remains one of the most delicate and breathtaking soul ballads ever recorded. Minnie Riperton had already spent years in the industry backing vocals for Rotary Connection sessions at Chess Records, but this single became the moment the world truly heard her extraordinary range. Produced with her husband Richard Rudolph, the song grew from a simple lullaby Minnie used to sing to their daughter Maya. When they brought it into the studio, engineers kept the arrangement feather light, letting Minnie's whistle register shimmer like morning light through a window. What many listeners never realized was how revolutionary that high register was.
Every time that I'm more in love.
Studio musicians paused when she hit those notes, unsure whether the tape would even capture them. But it did, beautifully. When the single dropped through Epic Records, it soared to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became an international sensation. A quiet, intimate track, that somehow conquered a decade known for lush production and big booming sound.
Loving you, I see your soul come.
Despite her immense talent, Ripperton's career was tragically short. She battled breast cancer privately during her rise and passed away in 1979. Her voice, though, still echoes in modern R&B and pop, inspiring generations. If this fragile, blissful ballad wrapped listeners in warmth, the next entry jolts us back to a funky, street-bright groove. Number 7, Boogie Fever by the Silvers. Zooming into 1906 with a burst of bubblegum funk and pure youthful joy, the Silvers delivered a one-hit wonder that felt like the soundtrack to every weekend teenage adventure. The family group was already a polished act on the R&B scene, but when they teamed up with producer Freddie Perrin at Capitol Records, things clicked into place. Boogie Fever mixed hand claps, bright horns, and a bouncing beat that made it impossible to sit still. One fun bit of behind-the-scenes trivia: the group recorded the vocals late at night after a long day of rehearsals, and the slightly punchy, overtired energy actually gave the track its breathless excitement. When it hit the radio, kids and parents alike were hooked. It shot to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became a defining slice of the mid-70s funk pop wave. Roller rinks blasted it, school dances replayed it, and for a moment, the Silvers seemed poised for long-lasting crossover success. But shifting label priorities and the fast-moving pop landscape pushed them back into the background. Still, Boogie Fever remains a joyous time capsule of carefree dancing and big family harmonies. And if this one got your shoulders moving, the next track cools things back down with some velvety smooth soul. If these forgotten gems from 70s R&B are bringing back memories, go ahead and tap that like button. It helps keep these lost voices alive and lets more folks rediscover the music they thought time had swallowed. And stay with me, the next 7 tracks hide some of the most surprising stories on this countdown. Number 6, Rock Your Baby by George McCrae. Sliding into 1974 with a groove so silky it practically invented a movement, George McCrae delivered one of the earliest songs to usher in the sound that would soon dominate dance floors everywhere. Recorded for TK Records, the track was originally written for female vocalists Gwen and Betty McCrae. But when scheduling conflicts hit, George stepped into the booth and history shifted. The backing track was already a powerhouse, a steady drum machine pulse, warm electric piano chords, and a bass line that wrapped around you like a summer night breeze. McCrae's falsetto slid over the top with effortless charm, giving the song an intimate feel even as it invited listeners to dance. That combination of precision and soul was something completely new. What most people never knew was how fast this song came together. McCrae recorded his vocals in just a couple of takes, standing in a darkened room with minimal adjustments. When the record hit the airwaves, it exploded, reaching number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and becoming one of the biggest selling singles of the decade. It planted the seeds of the disco sound before the genre even had a name. Despite attempts to follow it up, McCrae's later releases couldn't capture the same lightning. But Rock Your Baby remains a monumental turning point, sampled by countless artists and featured in movies, commercials, and DJ sets around the world. If this lush early disco vibe warmed you up, the next track walks us back towards sweet, storytelling soul. Number 5, Everybody Plays the Fool by the main ingredient.
Okay, so your heart broke.
Floating into 1972 with a mix of wisdom, heartbreak, and rich vocal harmony, this track became a slow-burning anthem for anyone who ever loved and lost. The main ingredient had been building a steady reputation on the R&B scene. But when they teamed up with songwriter and producer Cuba Gooding Sr., the group unlocked something timeless. Recorded for RCA Records,
Listen, baby, it may be factual, may be cruel.
the song paired soft horns, a rolling rhythm, and vocals that felt like a friend talking you through a bad day. Behind the scenes, the group was grieving the death of original lead singer Donald McPherson, who passed unexpectedly before the track was released.
Everybody plays the fool sometimes.
Gooding stepped up as the new lead, carrying the emotional weight of that transition into the recording. That depth is part of what made the song hit so deeply. When it arrived on radio, it rose to number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became an anthem of honesty and tenderness. Though the main ingredient recorded more music, nothing else crossed over quite like this. Still, its legacy is enormous, being covered by countless artists and living on in every heartbreak playlist imaginable. If this one gave you that nod of understanding, the next groove brings us right back into funky feel-good territory. Number 4, Shame by Evelyn Champagne.
Keep my whole body yearning. You got me something.
King bursting onto 1977's dance floors with undeniable sparkle. Shame introduced the world to a teenage powerhouse whose voice carried the confidence of someone twice her age. Evelyn Champagne King was discovered while cleaning a recording studio with her mother, a story almost too good to be true. A producer overheard her singing and knew instantly she had something special. Signed to RCA Records, she was soon standing in the very booth she had once swept, recording a track that would become a disco R&B essential. The song combined a gritty bass groove, shimmering strings, and King's youthful yet commanding vocals. That contrast of innocence wrapped in swagger made the track irresistible. It became a club staple, rising to number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100 and cementing her place as a major new voice. But behind the scenes, the pressure to follow such a massive hit weighed heavily. Subsequent singles charted modestly, but none reached the towering heights of Shame. Still, its legacy roars on, sampled, remixed, spun by DJs who know the dance floor always erupts when those opening notes kick in. If this track had you turning up the volume, the next one slows everything down into a tender, candlelit moment. Number 3 in When Will I See You Again by the 3 Degrees. Sliding gently into Nice at 54 with velvety harmonies and pure romantic yearning, the 3 Degrees gave us a ballad that felt like it floated straight out of a dream. Recorded under the guidance of Philadelphia soul architect Tom Bell, the track featured sweeping strings, soft percussion, and vocals that shimmered with longing.
When will our hearts beat together?
When they delivered those opening lines at Sigma Sound Studios, everyone in the room felt the magic. The song soared to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became a huge international success, especially in the UK, where it topped the charts. Fans were captivated by the group's angelic tone and elegant presence, dubbing them the First Ladies of Philadelphia Soul. Yet, despite their talent and beauty, the group never again reached this level of crossover success. Changing musical tides and label issues slowed their momentum. Still, The track lives on in movie soundtracks, wedding playlists, and late-night radio shows where love and uncertainty mingle in the quiet. If this one stirred old feelings, the next entry brings us right back to pure, joyful soul energy. And trust me, the surprise behind it is worth the wait. Number 2, Best of My Love by The Emotions.
Never will I feel this spirit.
Bursting into 1977 with sunshine, hand claps, and a groove crafted by Earth, Wind, and Fire's Maurice White. The Emotions delivered one of the most joyful tracks of the entire decade. Backed by Columbia Records, the group had already built a steady reputation in gospel-tinged soul. But this song pushed them into the pop stratosphere. Everything, the soaring harmonies, the infectious rhythm guitar, the celebratory hook worked in perfect, glowing sync. In the studio, producer Maurice White used the same rhythm section that powered Earth, Wind, and Fire's biggest hits. The energy was electric, and the group rose to the occasion with vocals that felt like sunlight bursting through clouds. When the track dropped, it shot to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and won a Grammy, instantly becoming a disco soul classic. Yet, despite this immense success, The Emotions never again captured such a universal moment. They continued making strong R&B records, but shifting trends kept them from returning to the mainstream spotlight. Even so, Best of My Love lives forever in commercials, movies, sporting events, and any celebration that needs pure joy. And if you think this one brought the feel-good high, the number 1 track is about to take you somewhere even deeper in the 70s soul universe. Number 1, Always and Forever by Heatwave, drifting into Ink 6 with a warmth that could melt even the coldest night.
I know tomorrow will still be.
Heatwave delivered a ballad so tender and timeless, it became one of the most beloved slow jams of the entire decade. Though Heatwave had a few well-known tracks, this song stood apart as their one true massive R&B milestone. Written by keyboardist Rod Temperton, who would later go on to craft hits for Michael Jackson, the song emerged from long nights of experimentation and quiet reflection. When the group recorded it for GTO Records, the atmosphere in the studio shifted. Lead vocalist Johnny Wilder Jr. delivered his performance in Near Darkness, candlelight flickering as he leaned into every note with quiet intensity. The result was a recording that felt almost sacred. Lovers slow danced to it at weddings. Teens requested it during late-night dedications on urban radio. Couples all over the world held each other just a little tighter when those opening chords began. What many don't know is that the success of this song arrived right before tragedy struck the band. Wilder was later involved in a devastating car accident that left him paralyzed, making this hit an emotional marker in their history. Despite the hardships, Always and Forever lived on, covered by countless artists, cherished across generations, and played anywhere love needed a gentle soundtrack. It is the perfect number 1 because it represents everything that made 70s R&B: unforgettable tenderness, craftsmanship, emotional truth, and the power of a single song to outlive the moment that created it. And if this one wrapped you in a warm memory, the journey does not end here. From disco flash to quiet storm romance, these 15 one-hit R&B wonders remind us how the 70s was filled with voices that rose, shined, and vanished before the world really knew their names. Yet their songs still echo through our memories like treasured postcards from another time. Thanks for taking this soulful ride with me. If you enjoyed revisiting these forgotten gems, hit that subscribe button to keep the groove alive and never miss our next countdown. And speaking of next, the end screen is ready. Click on the next video and let's keep the rhythm rolling straight into another chapter of 15 one-hit R&B wonders from the 60s who disappeared without a trace.